So, hello everyone. Welcome to Symphonic's latest Masterclass. So, in this session, we're going to be discussing everything you need to know about splitting your royalties using Symphonic's SplitShare technology. All right, cool. Let's get started. So we'll start with just a quick introduction. I'm Allie Lieberman. I'm the VP of Product here at Symphonic. I have the pleasure of working on our technology team to bring our clients all the tools at your fingertips when you log into your Symphonic account. So everything you see there, that's the product team and the tech team at work. Also joined by two amazing rock stars on our team. Colleen Shea, she is our group product manager. She handles all things related to royalties and analytics data. And we are also joined by Sean Davis, who's been at Symphonic for, Sean, how long have you been here? You've been here a while. How
Over
many years?
11 years? 11 years, yeah, 11.
Sean's our resident OG. Yeah, so he oversees all of our features related to releases, getting your music onto our platform, delivering them out to all the DSPs. So he manages all of the features in that area. So we're really lucky to have these two folks on this panel. Okay, so before we dive in further, just a quick note about Symphonic. We are 100% independent distribution company. We were founded in 2006 by our CEO in Tampa, Florida, Jorge. Since then, we've expanded our footprint globally. We have teams in Tampa, Miami, New York City, Nashville, Vegas, DC, which I'm calling from, and internationally too. I mean, our reach really extends everywhere. We have Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Southeast Asia, South Africa, Ireland, Africa. I mean, we're everywhere, which is wonderful. Just like all of you joining today, we have a nice global audience, which is really exciting. So in addition to getting your music live on platforms, on DSPs, which is pretty much the core of what we do, we have a ton of other services that we offer. I just wanted to touch on quickly, which some folks might not know. So we also do physical distribution. Vinyl's still a thing, love it. Video distribution, we have a ton of marketing services, advertising. We are all over YouTube claiming content, UGC monetization. So again, there's a ton we do. Make sure you check out all the services we offer on our website. There's a lot there. So, all right, let's keep going. Quick agenda for today. I'll start by covering the basics of SplitShare, what it is. Again, it's mainly how to split your royalties with contributors. Colleen is going to go into details of what that actually looks like when you're logged into your account in our system. So you can see step by step how to create a split, define who should get paid what tracks should be applied to the split, all of that. We'll walk through that in detail. One thing we wanted to make sure we cover today, which a lot of people ask about, is if I'm a client of Symphonic and I'm splitting my royalties, what do those people see? So they're obviously receiving a percent of royalties from my account, but what does their experience look like? Can they access an account? Again, what do they see? We'll cover all of that as well. We'll also show how you can track your earnings. So we have a ton of breakdowns on the money coming in, how it's being split. So you can see over time how much came in, how much was split out based on the split share that you entered. So we have all of that detail in different places on the site. So we'll show you that as well. And then last, Sean is going to show you a new feature, which we haven't really launched yet, but it's coming soon, where you can actually split your royalties and set up the splits when you're creating the release. So one thing to note right now, we are sort of in a transition process where we are changing up the user experience, the interface, what everything looks like. in our system for SplitShare. We're going to show you what it looks like, now for that new transition. So just one thing to keep in mind, if you're a Symphonic client, you might be more familiar with like an older version of SplitShare. We're moving everyone on to this new version, which we're demoing today, which is super exciting. And then Sean's going to show you what that looks like when you're building a release, how to use this, and we'll should be launching that part soon. So again, we'll get into that in more detail. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Let's keep going. So first, yeah, what is SplitShare? So at the basic level, SplitShare is how you can take your royalties and split them out to different people through your Symphonic account. So if you want your producer to get 10% of royalties each time a track is streamed, SplitShare is how you will do that. So if $10 comes in, your producer gets $1. If you are a label with a lot of artists on your roster, you can split royalties this way. If you're working with a sound engineer, a producer, a manager, your cousin, if you want your cousin to receive a percentage of royalties, you can do all of that using SplitShare. So anyone who contributed to one of your songs or who you want to pay, you can do that with our SplitShare tool. I also want to talk quickly about the way we built SplitShare at Symphonic, splitting your royalties. As I mentioned, this was recently updated, and we wanted to make this feature a little more powerful and easier to use. One thing we heard is it's really hard sometimes being able to set percentages for each track when like most of the tracks tend to have the same split for a lot of folks, meaning like every track with this artist, it's going to be split, let's say 90-10, 50-50. Doing that in like a bulk batch way wasn't great on the old system that how we had it. So we redesigned it, rebuilt it. It's even more powerful, even more easy to use. We had a bunch of beta testers use this feature. We did some usability testing. We think you all really will enjoy it very much. So excited to show that to you. So the way it works is that you can tell the system, here are the people I want to pay. So here's the people. And then for each of these people here, or labels or entities, here are the percentages I want each of them to get. So people, percentages, and then last, here are all of the tracks that should be split this way. So a good way to think of it is people, percent, and tracks. That's how you're setting up splits. So again, if you're a label, you can use SplitShare to pay your artists. If you're an artist, you can use SplitShare to pay your producer. If you're a band, you can use SplitShare to pay your manager. There's a ton of different ways you can use SplitShare. This tool is amazing, super powerful. It's great. I'm gonna stop talking now so you can actually see it in action. So I will turn it over to Colleen. She can start the demo.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Allie. So as Allie mentioned, managing your royalties between different contributors can be kind of a headache, both from a data entry point and also just downstream reporting. Make sure that everyone's in the loop, understand what they're being paid for, and all those different breakdowns. So we set it up to streamline that. To start off, to create a split, you can come to the splits page. So say that I have a label Sleeves and I have an artist Pine. And as Ali says, a lot of times there's overlap in terms of how royalties can be split across artists. So say Pine needs to have 70% for all his tracks go to him. And as his label, I keep 30%. I could come to this page and I could set up those royalty shares. So by default, since I'm the label, I release a track, 100% of the royalties are going to stay with me. But since I want 70% of the royalties to go to Pine, I can select him from this dropdown, enter that 70%, and automatically my share is going to update. So once I save the split, I can come to this page, and this is where we get to, we've got the people, we've got the percentages, and here's where we can add the tracks. So any tracks that I add on this page, any royalties that are going to come in are going to be split 70% to Pine, 30% to me, as I defined. So when I click add tracks, we have this kind of pop up. By default, we try to make it as easy as possible. We default to who's on the split. So in this case, Pine, show me all his tracks. And in this case, this was really, we try to make the data entry a bit easier. You can select multiple tracks at once. So I can select these 5 tracks, add them to the split, and now they're all going to be split appropriately based on my deal. So that's great, for, back catalogs, but as a label, I'm always going to be releasing new tracks. So we also have this track assignments page. And this is just another view of your entire catalog, where the splits page is more of like a deal, show me all the percentages and people and what tracks are tied. This shows you all the tracks in the catalog. We split it out between an assigned track, meaning that's part of the split. My royalties are going to be split between the people based on the percentages I entered, or it might be unassigned, meaning I haven't kind of assigned it to a split yet. By default, 100% of the royalties are going to stay with you, but you can assign it to a split to make sure they're shared with your collaborators appropriately. So say that Pine released a new album, very, releasing a lot of music, which is great. What I can do is select those 2 new tracks. What's really great about SplitShare is we now have these suggested splits. So I've already set up and said, hey, I want to pay Pine 30 and 70. SplitShare recognizes that Pine's on this track. Do you want this 30-70 split that you've already assigned? And I can just click it to set it up there. We also wanted to leave some flexibility because even though most of my tracks with Pine are 70-30, I might have a case where I have a featuring artist and that featuring artist needs 10%. So in that case, while I'll have these existing splits, I also have the option to define a new split where if I need to pay these featuring artists different percentages, I can split them out as well. So we always want to have kind of reduce the data entry, make it as easy as possible, but just understand the need for flexibility whenever you've got remixers, featuring artists, sound engineers. So you always have that option as well. We also have the ability that we're excited about to split on different product types, like maybe YouTube videos, where even if most of your releases are kind of, standard going out to streaming platforms, maybe you're also monetizing YouTube channels for artists. So in this interface, you've got the ability to filter on YouTube videos. You can search by YouTube channel names. And if I want to split all the videos on a channel the same way, we also have got that bulk functionality again, where I can set it up and create a split this way. The other place where I think splits is really flexible is that we've got the ability to update splits as deals change. So going back to that Pine split, say Pine brings on a new manager, Felix, and Felix needs a 10% cut on any tracks he releases. What I can go into is go into this Pine split, and I've got this option to edit shares. And here's where I can actually create a new payee. So I can add Felix Manager. I can also invite him from this screen as well. And I've also got the flexibility where maybe Pine and Felix made a deal. In Felix's payee account, he needs to see his percentage on every track. We've got this flexibility to say, yep, this person, this payee is allowed to see his percentages. So I can create and invite the payee right from this screen. And then for all tracks, kind of part of the split, I've added 7. Just with kind of these couple clicks, Felix is now getting 10%. So after I've sent that invite off to Felix, he'll receive an email that looks like this, where I've got just information, kind of reminding him of his name, who invited them, just giving an overview of SplitShare. Super easy for Felix to set up an account. He can just click this button. It'll prompt him to create a Symphonic account and log in and see his royalties and analytics. So once Felix logs into his account, he'll see something similar to this screen. So what's great about SplitShare is it takes off a lot of the kind of reporting requirements, where it used to be maybe like a lot of emails back and forth. How are my streams doing? What am I getting paid? Now your collaborators can log into their own payee account and see that here. So as just like a first question, they might say, what am I getting paid? What are my percentages on these different tracks? They can go to this screen and see it right here. And here's where we've got this setting where I can see like the actual percentages. We put that completely in your control. If you want all your payees to see your splits, it'll show up right here. Maybe you don't want them to see a split for some reason, you can hide it. So it's completely your decision. I'll show you how to kind of set that payee by payee. But that way you've got the option for as much transparency as you want. The other thing is that, as many of you know, royalties might kind of fall behind analytics. So content that's being streamed now on Spotify, it's going to be a couple months till it's actually paid out. But with SplitShare, your payees don't need to kind of wait to see how their content's performing. The day after you kind of create a split, add tracks, and invite your payees, they can log in and see how tracks where they're kind of receiving a percentage are performing. And across different streaming platforms, get an overview of how their streams are doing. Also see the breakdown by like their tracks, their playlists, their releases. So they don't ever have to email you to see like, how is this track performing on Spotify? They can log in, kind of answer their questions themselves via analytics. We've also got really powerful kind of UGC data platforms where they'll be able to see like how many creations their content's having, as well as kind of any YouTube UGC claims. So they'll even be able to see kind of their top videos on YouTube, which is great. And then exciting, when the royalties come in, they'll be able kind of to log in and claim them. But they can also see kind of detailed reporting where each kind of royalty period, they can see the earnings they have based on those percentages they entered and the relevant tracks. We also have the ability, if you only want the splits to kick in for a payee after like certain expenses can be recouped for releases, we have that as well. We kind of have that as a like top line earning where we can see, all right, I earned $39, I had 17 cents recouped. And then even we have these individual breakdowns where maybe back in the day, you like an artist would email you and say like, what's my top earning release? Where if they have the question, they can come to this tab, you can kind of see which releases are performing the best. So we have a bunch of different breakdowns by track, territory, and really your collaborators can kind of choose their own adventure. So switching back to your view, you've also got those really kind of powerful accounting breakdowns that you see in your payee account. But we also have additional views to manage all of your payees. So if I want to see, all right, show me all of my payees' earnings for this year, I can select those royalty periods, and we've got this SplitShare tab. And this is going to show you what each artist earned. If they have any recoupments, so that's kind of talking about when I've got an expense that needs to be paid back, how many dollars I've recouped from my individual payees, and what's actually been transferred. So if they had their earnings, some got recouped, this might be lower. But we might all have cases where maybe like Anika forgot to accept her SplitShare invite. As long as you assigned her tracks or a split, entered the percentages, the royalties will be calculated. And I can kind of easily see here, oh, I might owe Anika $36. If you ever want an individual payee view, you can click on this, and it'll take you to the earnings history page for a payee. And this will break it down by individual royalty periods. You can always update the filter as needed. So I'm going to drill down into individual payees on their page. The payees page also just allows you to kind of configure any of your payee their settings. We can also invite them. So if 121 crew, you need to be invited, I can send that right here. I can also control some payee settings. We're going back to like having that decision. Do I want to see my payee to show their splits or not? Say I want to flip that to yes. It's just a simple toggle right here. So next time the payee can log in, they can see their percentages on all their tracks. We also just give an overview again from a payee perspective of what splits are they a part of, as well as what tracks. So you have the option to toggle between those individual views of giving you kind of the bundle of tracks together, as well as kind of a more granular view of the individual tracks. Last thing on this page that's nice is we've got this unassigned credited tracks warning. So generally, if you've got an artist, they're credited on tracks, you might need to share the royalties with them. So we just give you a heads up if any tracks aren't part of a split, just in case you want to assign them and make sure you're sharing your royalties as needed. Not required, but just, give you a heads up in case there's some data missing. And if you click view all, it'll bring you to that track assignments page, kind of filtered on the needed tracks, and you can assign them to a split and kind of solve that once and for all. So you no longer get those warnings. So at this point, I think I'm just gonna hand it over to Sean just to talk through about how SplitShare can be even easier by assigning tracks to splits during release creation.
Thanks, Colleen. All right. So here I have a release that's all complete. So I won't bore you with going through creating a release. I'm sure many of you already have done this many times. I don't need to go through this with you. So I will go down here, and once you get past the release availability section, you'll see this new section called SplitShare Setup. So like Colleen just mentioned, all the new split functionality is super awesome. But if you're like me, you might have like good intentions. So like, okay, cool. Like once I upload all my catalog, and then later on I'll go and set up my splits. But life gets in the way and you forget, and then the royalty period closes, and then, oh no, I didn't set this all up. And oh no, cool. Now I have to wait for the next royalty period to get all this stuff allocated. So we figured, hey, why, it's awesome if we can just include this during release creation. We're actually handling the release that you're, managing the splits on. So this is a completely optional section. It won't impede you creating a release. So if you don't have any of your contracts signed up, or you just don't want to deal with this right now, you don't have to worry about that. It's a totally optional thing just to ease the process of kind of like setting up once and then forgetting about it and never have to worry about it again. So here, I am going to show you assigning these splits. So if I just click edit, this will bring up this new page where we show all of the tracks you have, and then you're going to assign these tracks to a split. So I'm going to do this one at a time just to show you a little bit more functionality. So the first track I'm going to assign to one split. You could assign all your tracks to a single split if you wanted. For this demo, I'm just going to do this. So now this functionality is exactly the same that you just saw Colleen go through. It's mirrored. It's the same exact thing. So you can do everything here you just saw Colleen do. So there's no limits there. So you can actually, if you have existing splits already, you can go in here and use whatever you want. But just for these purposes, I'm just going to create a new split. So live stream split. Cool. And this one, I'm just going to leave 100% to the label. Why not? So I'm going to assign this track to the split. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. Do this. Should do 50-50. And then assign to split. Cool. All right. I'm going to finish the split assignment. And then I'm going to go back down. And now you see we have one track assigned to a split. And you'll notice this nifty little progress bar right here up the top to give you a visual indicator like, hey, you're halfway done. And you can see there's still one track that is, doesn't have a split assigned to it, or a track that's not assigned to a split, excuse me. So I'm going to finish that out. Okay, as we see, there's only one track unassigned, so I'll select that one, assign to a split, and we'll just do the same one. Why not? Actually, we'll just do a different one. So you can see the difference there. All right. So I will finish the split assignment. Scroll back down, and there we go. All your tracks are assigned to a split. So that is complete, and you're good to go. And you could even, if you wanted to, only assign a couple tracks to a split and then submit. That's fine. We'll track that. And another thing I do want to mention with this is this takes advantage of our permissions feature. So depending on who's accessing your release when they're creating it and what permissions they have, they may or may not see the SplitShare setup. So you have to have the profile that is looking at this page needs to have SplitShare permissions active to actually see this, as I'm seeing it now. So I'll show you what that looks like when you are not having that access. Give me a second. Okay. So here is the same release, but I'm logged into a profile that doesn't have SplitShare access. So I will scroll down and it's just not there. So they won't even have, they won't even interact with it. They can't mess it up in any way. This is kind of nice because you can have people on your team. If you don't really want them to adjust or handle the split stuff, you don't have to worry about them futzing with or having access to it. They could potentially load your full release and then say, hey, this is good to go, and then hand it off to another person on your team or yourself to then go in, assign the splits, and then submit the release. And that way it's just like this little nice seamless handoff. And then, yeah, it's submitted, and then hopefully you never have to think about splits again. And it's all handled for you. All right, and that's SplitShare setup during release creation. So, Allie, you want to take it over?
Awesome. Yes. So yeah, I hope that helped everyone get a good sense of how to split royalties if you're a Symphonic client. We did get some great questions that came in, so I think we have like a few more minutes left. So let's try to answer a few of these live. Okay, so yeah, let's get into some questions. So Aiden and Eric had a similar question, which is a great one about the payee accounts and whether or not people need to pay or have a Symphonic membership in order to access the account to receive their splits. So in our example, this was like when Colleen invited Felix to the manager to receive royalties. Does Felix need to pay? No. So no one needs to pay if you're a payee in order to access SplitShare and claim your royalties. It is completely free. Um, Once you are invited to receive royalties as a payee, you'll be prompted, as Colleen showed you, to accept the invite. There's a super brief account creation page give us your name and email address, and you're in. That's it. No fees, none of that. So you don't have to pay anything up front in order to create your account to receive royalties with Symphonic. A related question is somebody asked is whether or not you need to accept that invite and register in order to receive the royalties. The answer to that is yes. So if you want your payee, or if you are a payee and you want to receive the royalties, we do need you to log in, claim the royalties. Like, yes, this is me. I'm accepting this invitation. We also obviously need to know how to pay you. So when you log into your account, we'll ask you how would you like to receive these royalties, and set up the payment information. So that's all included in the account setup. Again, no upfront fee. That's all free. Let's get to a few more questions. So, is this feature for labels only? Benjamin asked. This is not for labels only. We do see a lot of labels use this feature for obvious reasons. I think they just have a lot more cases in which it makes sense for them to split royalties. But we do have a lot of clients, like artist clients, who will use this feature to pay producers, engineers, managers. So it's not just for labels. So if you are an artist, you have access to SplitShare. We see artists using SplitShare. So there's a ton of different use cases. It's not just for labels only. Let's see what else. Joseph asked, do people need to be registered with BMI, ASCAP, CSAC in order to receive a split? You don't need to be registered with any performance society, although you should as an artist. I highly recommend registering with those PROs just to make sure you are receiving performance royalties. You don't need to be registered with them to receive splits. But again, it's in your best interest to make sure you are registered to receive those royalties. Let's see. Oh, Eric asked, what's your workflow for recoupments? I wish we had another hour. We have a super incredible recoupments feature where you can, it ties right into SplitShare. It's pretty seamless, where you can say before we split out royalties this way, I need to recoup this amount. And you can add expenses, you can credit money back to the recoupment. You can see the progress. Are people recouping or not? At what rate? It's all there. We did cover it, I think, in another webinar we did at some point. I want to say might be on our YouTube channel. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, we do have a recoupments feature. There's information on our website. So we can send that to you as well. Let's see some more questions. Oh, Corey asked, what can a label do to better prepare its artists on its roster for payouts and submissions? Love this question, because unfortunately, sometimes we see a lot of those invitations go unread or deleted. So again, this is as Colleen demonstrated, when you invite someone to receive royalties, we send an email. Shockingly, email saying, we have money for you, click here, can feel like spam. So if you are sending royalties to anyone through SplitShare, highly recommend you also just tell them hey, you're going to get an email. We put your name on the email so it doesn't look like it's coming from some random company that they may or may not have heard of. So we do try to make it a friendly message that doesn't look like spam. But if you are sending royalties to anyone, please do let them know. Look out for an email from Symphonic. I'm inviting you to receive royalties to create an account. That would be great. All right, let's see. What other questions do we want to get to? Yeah, some people are asking is there a way to specify splits for non-contributors, people who didn't actually contribute to the release? Absolutely. You can split royalties really with whomever you decide. We try to make it easy for you in the system by suggesting artists on the release. So you'll be prompted to oh, do you want to create a split or assign this track to a split? that looks like this because here are the artists or people who contributed to the release. It's just a suggestion. You can create your own splits with whomever you want, and add tracks that way. So again, ton of flexibility. Um, do, 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 do. Um, Joseph asked, as a manager, can I have access to the account? So we do have it. Sean was kind of hinting at this a bit, or talked about it. So accounts, we have different membership roles. So you can invite people onto your account if you'd like, so they can access your account, they can see certain things. And what we do is we have it permissioned. So this means if you have someone on your team and you just want them working on releases, they don't have anything to do with the financing, the accounting, the royalties. You can just give them access to the releases in your account, and that's it. So we do have like different permission levels. So Symphonic clients can grant access to other people to invite them onto their account, like their main account. This isn't even talking about the payee account. This is kind of just like a main account. So we do have different member access that you can use. Okay, sweet. Do one more question. Love this question. It's a great question. How can I access? So if you are a Symphonic client, again, this feature is free to you. Encourage you to use it to split your royalties. One thing I also want to mention, actually, we have a little bit of time. One more question too, related to another question. Somebody asked also, like, do people have to log in to claim the royalties, and will it still get split out? So people do need to log in to claim the royalties in order to get paid. But what we will do, and Colleen sort of demonstrated this, we'll still do all of those calculations for you. So let's say you invite someone to receive 10% of your tracks. If they never accept the invite and claim the royalties, we're still going to do all those calculations for you. So that way you can see, like, they didn't actually claim the money, unfortunately, but here's how much they should have been paid and for what royalty period. So it's almost like you have all of the information. It's just showing you the money didn't actually go out the door to them because they never logged in to claim their share, to collect their share. So I hope that helps as well. Okay, and then yes, how do I get access? So if you are not a Symphonic client, you can go to symphonic.com/join. We have 2 different plans for you. Give it a browse, see what makes sense. On our site, symphonic.com, you can see all of the different services that we offer. YouTube channel management, you can use that to split your royalties, which is great. Sync, we have a whole sync team that are placing music and TVs and movies, and it's incredible what they do. We had advertising, marketing. There's just a ton of stuff that we offer. So again, symphonic.com, poke around, and yeah, if you have any questions, I think we're gonna have some like maybe Facebook posts or something also where people can drop us questions, but I'll get all of these questions exported and see what else we can answer maybe offline for folks that provided their email address. So yeah, let's see what else. Follow us. Here's all of our socials. Please stay connected with us. We love having these chats with you all. Yeah, and really enjoyed being able to show you SplitShare. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Colleen and Sean. I hope Felix stayed asleep. Is he still sleeping? Is your dog still sleeping?
Felix, my dog, not Felix, the manager. Yes, he's still asleep.
Hopefully the manager's not asleep on the job. I'm glad your dog is still sleeping. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It's good to see you.